Alec, welcome back to our 8-part mini-series going through
The eight
Nintendo.
part about Nintendo.
Yes.
Here we are at the Switch.
It's just
We've
interesting
just
that,
done
that
the Wii U.
yeah, last week we did a 3DS and Wii U retrospective, and now,
Did you get your games in before the eShop closed?
no, certainly didn't.
You didn't? Yeah, I got basically everything I was looking for. I feel like there were some Wii U titles I may have been caught slipping on. Um, 3DS I got pretty much everything I wanted, except for Pokemon Red. I couldn't get that in time before the shop closed, so I was a little upset, a little sad about that. But
Just get on the original hardware. No problem.
I own it on the original hardware. That's the version I have.
But yeah, I had trouble with there's this weird Wi-Fi I'm able to use for us to do this, but it's a weird thing where I don't have a proper Wi-Fi to use I wasn't able to get on the eShop with our Wi-Fi. It's weird.
Oh yeah, there's some weird jank with that actually. There is some kind of strange little hiccups and stuff with that system
So
sometimes.
I missed out
but
on a couple of things I wanted to get just because of that, but
I picked up Rhythm Heaven Mega Mix though. I was
man.
pretty happy. Oh wait, that's right. Shoot, maybe I shouldn't rub it in because you literally just said you couldn't get it. But I was like, I mean, I don't know if maybe before you had picked it up, but
Yeah.
I don't have Rhythm Heaven Fever, and that game goes for a lot of money now.
I
so,
have it, you son of a bitch. Fuck you.
Yeah, there you go. So hey, there it is.
And it's way better and more impressive. No.
It's way better and more impressive.
Well,
it's bigly
Mega
improved.
Mix has games from both. Was it was
It's
that
stuff from
after
the-
Fever or before?
It was after because it has stuff
So
from
it
the
has stuff
Wii
from
version
that,
too.
yeah.
It also has stuff from the Game Boy Advance, which I didn't know there was a Game Boy
Yeah.
Advance Rhythm Heaven game.
It was
originally?
Japan only or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, that's fun.
Anyway,
And then there's
enough
3DS
about that.
games. Enough about
That
that.
was
Enough
last
about the
week.
past.
It's in the past.
It's in the past. We got to
I'll
look
never
forward
even
to the
look at
future.
my 3DS again.
And it was
Disowned it. Left it out on the streets.
dang.
All right, so we're gonna talk about what we would want, in our ideal successor to the Nintendo console/handheld hybrid, perhaps, whether it's a Switch 2 or something else. What we have in mind,
Yeah.
I have a couple things that they've pretty much been my wish list for Nintendo systems every time, and they always fail to meet the expectations. Just not gonna lie.
What
to
is
you.
it? What is on your wish list that they failed to bring to the table?
Good online achievements.
That probably that's tough, man. Tough. Good online is the toughest.
Good online is not tough. This is what I cannot
It's-
stand. The Xbox Live did it better in 2005. We're a couple decades behind, and they're still not caught up.
Okay, they do not have the infrastructure or the money that Microsoft has. Microsoft is a global tech leader. Nintendo is a fairly small company, all things considered, when it comes to tech.
Go fuck yourself.
I mean, it really is. You do have to take that into consideration. That yes, they do have a decent amount of market share in terms of video games. I'm not saying this is an excuse. They absolutely need to improve their internet. It's awful.
Don't even mention it.
No,
they're 2
no.
decades behind.
No.
It's not. It's not.
They're
It's not like
they're not
it's-
that. No,
Yes,
they're not
they are.
that far
Yes, they are.
behind.
You cannot
Is it-
tell me that in 2006 I could go and join a party and be playing different games with my friends on Xbox Live, and now in 2023 I cannot do that with any Nintendo system.
Right, but a lot of those, it makes you wonder where they have server hosting, right? If it's all handled peer to peer, which I think Smash Brothers typically is, or if it's handled with some servers somewhere in Redmond, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. That's definitely something they do need to improve. That's for sure.
Smash Bros is notoriously bad online for
Yeah.
a game that would benefit so much from having a good online. The only other games I really ever play online with that is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which is fine. That works, but still, there's obviously ways it could be much better in how they do the different like grouping up with people. You can make it a lot easier. And when Animal Crossing New Horizons came out, like there's just ways you can make these games. It's almost like each game has its own independent like online system with how it operates. It doesn't. It's not one big interconnected system like an Xbox Live or PlayStation Online.
It does feel like there needs to be like it's some sort of party or lobby system. The only thing about that is that Nintendo is very hesitant to jump on board things like that because of they're thinking about like families. They're trying to protect the children, ultimately. But it does kind of suck though because it's like okay, but like so much of your consumer base are adults still. You like yes, there's always going to be like children and there will always be enjoying your consoles, but most of the people that are buying your systems and most of the people that are consistently playing them are at least teenagers, if not adults.
Yeah.
You know, it's yeah, it is a little frustrating how there does need to be like just some better way of communicating on these systems. I think
Absolutely.
I wholeheartedly agree.
And I think it's just wild to me that Nintendo stands like head and shoulders above the rest in terms of like you can always expect unique gaming experiences from them that you won't get anything like on the other systems.
Yeah.
There's a reason that people are so loyal and like will keep coming back, despite the flaws. You know, it's like
Yeah.
it's almost enough that they're so unique that it makes it worth enduring the other stuff. But it just wild to me. You just add that stuff and it's like what? Where's your competition? Like you'd be smoking them. But you're not putting yourself in the same arena. That's the problem. Is they don't want to like act directly compete with these other people. They want to just have their own lane that they can operate in at all times. But
Yeah, it's a little weird.
but
I mean,
it's sad in the sense that it's like yeah, they're so unique, they're so strong. Like as a company, they have these iconic franchises that they're almost like privileged in a sense that they don't have any actually competition forcing them to improve these things that they should be. So they're fine just like having this like whatever like the mediocre online, and then but it's like it's fine. You'll take it, and you'll because you want our Mario's and our Zeldas and our Pokemons. You're gonna take it.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean that's the same thing with like just having power that's comparable to any current gen system. They've never been relevant in that way. They've always been at least one step behind.
The GameCube is really the only exception to that. The GameCube was a slightly it was a comparable system to the Xbox. I think it was like slightly stronger in some aspects. It was definitely stronger than the PS2. The PS2 was the weakest console of that generation, but PlayStation 2 had unbelievable amounts of third-party support as well as a DVD player, which were incredibly expensive at the time. So the fact that you could get a gaming console and an okay DVD player in a system for like $300 was amazing. And then the GameCube didn't sell. It was the cheapest console and they still couldn't sell it. So GameCube is such a strange anomaly to me because I think that was like the time where they were being more experimental. They were like they were really being impressive in terms of being a graphical powerhouse. They had some third-party support. They had Capcom on their side. They had Namco on their side. But they just, for whatever reason, they just couldn't figure out how to market this stupid thing. And no one wanted to buy the weird purple lunchbox. So
yeah, I mean, I always love the GameCube, but
me too. It's a great console.
Ever since then, they've been behind, and making no effort to really bridge that gap. So,
my hope for the next, whatever it may be, one of my things that in regards to that, I ultimately am of the opinion that art style trumps raw graphical power every time. I say that as somebody that owns a PS5 and loves looking at how freaking beautiful every game on that looks, at how fast they all run. I love that. That is a blessing. But Nintendo is always going to art style trumps raw graphical power. Those games do have high raw graphical power. They also have excellent art direction, and that's to me more important or as important there. Whereas with the Nintendo stuff, having a distinct art style and being able to utilize and maybe even take advantage of the limitations of the hardware to still make a game that runs well and plays well is kind of what they've been doing best. At least their R&D1, their main sort of development sort of teams have been able to do. Game Freak is another beast altogether. I don't think Game Freak knows how to program anything. Did you see like one of the reasons why Scarlet and Violet run so bad, by the way?
Mm-mm.
It's because they are rendering like and like generating ocean and water constantly. So there's like they're constantly like filling the like oceans with like more and more and more and more and more water constantly. So it makes the game run really bad.
So kind of like a 6.8 out of 10 situation. Too much water.
No, that was 7.5 out of 10. That is a too much water situation though. Yeah, that's for crying out loud. But anyway, I do want Nintendo to step it up though in terms of its graphical capabilities, and the reason why is because if you're gonna have a Switch port of a game, I'm never gonna buy it. I'm never gonna buy a Switch port. I'm always gonna buy a PlayStation 4 version or an Xbox version.
That's always been the Nintendo thing.
It's gonna run like crap. The GameCube era wouldn't have done that. GameCube era, like you look at the same games that were ran on each system, GameCube almost always runs best.
Yeah.
Like out of all of them. Now it's like, man, I sure don't really want to pick up this game because I know it's gonna run crap. Unless it's like an indie game or something where it's like, oh, I want the convenience of playing that on the go, like I don't know, Shovel Knight or
it has to be such a niche thing to like really want to have it handheld that much that you're willing to sacrifice the
like a lot of like small like a lot of it's like 2D platforming indie games or whatever. Like I don't need the Castlevania games on a PS5, for example. I don't need to, but those do also have trophy support, so I may favor getting them on that console for that reason. But that's a whole other thing we'll get into. But I want at least like I want the games that they're making to run well. Okay. Mario Odyssey is like one of the like Breath of the Wild, fantastic game, 10 out of 10 game. I love it. It's amazing. It's like one of my favorite games ever made. Does it run really well? Sometimes. Sometimes it runs pretty well, and then other times the frame rate slows down, and that's okay. There's some wonderful games that I love that have some frame rate hiccups, but I would like the game to look good but also run well. And I would like them to use something that's powerful enough to get that done for them. It doesn't need to be a PS5. You can have, at this point, we feel like we're always a generation behind. The Switch is basically just a souped up Wii U. I feel like a generally well souped up Wii U, but we're running like 2015 like chips on this system. Like these things are not new. It might even be older than that actually. And to me, if you can run something that's like a little like at least PS4, maybe PS4 Pro or Xbox One S like levels of like processing and graphical capabilities, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
You don't need to have the rawest, most cutting edge, but I would like it to be a little bit better than how it is. For sure.
Definitely, because I definitely, as a Nintendo fan, don't like this mentality where it's like 100% of the time a multi-platform game I'm going to buy before it was PS4, now PS5. I'm never gonna do the Nintendo option if I can avoid it. Even being a Nintendo fan above all else, it's just objectively you have to go with the better experience. It's sad
Yeah.
because Story of Seasons, A Wonderful Life, is going to be the first Story of Seasons that's offered on PS5, like not just Nintendo systems.
Right.
So now it's like, damn, if I liked having it like all those games on the Nintendo systems,
Right.
but it feels like I have to. Like it would be almost morally wrong for me not to go with the PS5 version unless I care that much about having a handheld version. It's like I'm picking the inferior option. It just doesn't feel right. So I wish you didn't have to feel that way. Like if you, especially with the Switch system, like of having the handheld option, if you have your graphic capability comparable, then suddenly you're in there, and you can compete. You can hang with the others in terms of like, okay, now people will actually start considering your version over theirs because you have the
Yeah.
handheld option also.
Yeah.
But,
Well,
yeah.
I mean, I remember indie devs actually. I remember at PAX probably in 2020, it might have been 2019 when I went, where devs were really like indie devs were pushing it. I remember being like, I remember going to like one booth and I was looking at like a game, and then they were like, oh, you should buy the Switch version because you can play a handheld. Like, I think that's like still one of the coolest selling points of the system. I think that's something that like us, whatever their predecessor or whatever the successor rather, what that needs to do, it needs to, I feel like it still's got to have this capability. I feel like it still needs to have this second screen kind of idea. Not like not like Wii U, but like, but yeah, I feel like they need to continue on this bandwagon because it's just been nothing but a W for them. I think just overall.
Yeah, I do think they would if they tried to like do just the home console again. I think they would suffer greatly for it. So I think they've almost put themselves in a position where they have to keep going with this, especially since like they pretty much cut off their own handhelds for it. You know.
Right. Exactly. So with that, backwards compatibility with the Switch is going to be a must. They need to. They were able to get away with it with the Wii U because like every Wii U port possible has been over on this thing anyway.
Yeah,
so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm tired of having to get a new version. That's another thing I don't like about like this idea of like Nintendo systems not improving that much graphically or with power, is because like you have all these like remasters and HD versions coming to Switch, and it's like, but is there inevitably gonna eventually be a more powerful version that they're gonna just like then invalidate that like the Switch version? Is like,
so I hope one of the things that they'll do is not charge for an optimized version on their system. I have this weird feeling that they might try to do that. They might actually be like, hey, you get Breath of the Wild, play it on the Switch 2, and it's optimized for Switch 2, and it's like, but you have to pay $10 extra to get that version of it, or to get it. Like, so I hope that they're smart enough to not do that, because most companies the good ones are really good about that. Capcom, I have PS4 versions of the Resident Evil remake games. I put it in my PS5, and they give me it for free on the PS5. They give me the PS5 version for complete free. So they optimize it for PS5. The loading times are better. The graphics are better. Everything looks like smoother and cleaner. Everything runs perfectly. It's just like the best thing in the world, and they just give me that for free. Like that's great for being a loyal customer or whatever.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's how Nintendo should treat the whatever they do with optimizing for Switch 2 for the whatever comes next. But
they should, but they won't. It's almost like, you know, the remasters and whatnot that, you know, Nintendo's done a lot of on the Switch. People have been eating them up. But it's like undeniable that when you see like something remastered on the PS5 versus something remastered on the Switch, it's like it hits completely different. Like you're not making that much of a leap when you go to a Switch remaster. It's almost Like, okay,
Well,
you get the game now, and you get a handheld version of it. That's the perk.
well, most of the games that have been like remastered on Switch, like remastered versions, are like Metroid Prime comes to example right away. That would have pretty much looked the same on a PS5. I think. I mean, I don't think they made that game look amazing for what it is. Like when you sold me or when you started to be like, hey, there's a Metroid Prime remaster coming out, I literally thought like a remaster, and this is like somehow a little bit more like closer to a remake. It's not like exactly a remake, but it's more effort was put into it than just a straight like upscaling of the textures and stuff like that. There's like new textures and things that they put into it, new
Hmm.
polygonal models and things like that. They definitely put effort. That is a high quality, high effort remaster right there. Like that's the kind of stuff that you'd like. Most other, I really can't think of any other like particular remasters
Like,
that
what about the
were.
Mario 3D, the 3D Mario collection?
Oh yeah, okay. Well, there is that.
Like,
Yeah,
just imagine
yeah.
that on like PS5, like how much it would gain from that. Like,
Would it have really gained anything? I don't think it would have,
yeah,
honestly.
I think you
Like
underestimate the
what were
fact
they?
that
They
like
wouldn't have.
art style is one thing, but to add graphical capability on top of that, like it's
But what is there to add? What is there really to add? Like most remaster. Like I said, most remasters are like texture upscaling, and the game did that already. They did that on the Mario Super Mario All Stars whatever collection. The
but
problem is that it was just bare bones outside of that. It was like you did that, but the controls are still a little weird. And didn't Mario Sunshine have like some horrible glitch or something in it? Oh, they also took out the version of Mario 64 was like the weird European version of it, where they you can't do like some glitches don't work in that version because it was like slightly updated. Um, so
I'm just saying this. I would 10 times out of 10 like if these games existed on the PS5, I would pick them. So they're basically holding us hostage because they're like, we're Nintendo, we have our properties, you can't go anywhere else for them. So you're gonna deal with what we got, like regardless, you're gonna eat it up, regardless
yeah.
of how it compares to the others. So it's like it just doesn't feel good when they like constantly like fans have talked about it for years and years and they just don't hear any of it. Like people begged specifically for Smash Bros. Online to be improved. They never bothered to do anything, and it's just like they are fine remaining stagnant in these ways because they know they have a chokehold on a certain corner of the market. Is how it feels. So anyway, I love
Yeah, I don't
Nintendo.
know.
So it's
Yeah, it sounds like you really do. It's like I no, but I understand where you're coming from because like I just want them to improve too, honestly. Like because I feel like they have such a good thing going for them in their core, like just general core is really solid.
yeah.
So if they improve a lot of the stuff that other consoles can give us way better, even just like slight improvements would be good. Like a lobbying system or a party system would be so much better. I get that you want to protect your children, and you can still have tools to do that on. You have those on PlayStation. They have parental tools. You can. There's things that you can do to keep your kids off. I'm sure there's probably some way that you can do it. I believe
Of
in you,
course,
Nintendo.
of course, yeah.
Not you're not gonna
So yeah, the other thing is
trophy
achievement
support.
trophies. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that is something that's so missing that I think Nintendo especially would benefit from, and because I think Nintendo are such unique experiences that they would be awesome. Like me personally, I don't do that much of like trophy hunting and whatnot,
Mhm.
but I could see myself getting into like the Nintendo games that I usually end up like trying 100% or play a lot, like Mario games or like the last Kirby game. I would definitely be trying to go for all the achievements, and they'd have a lot of fun ones. I feel like, and the sad thing is they pretty much know this. They do achievements in games. Like in certain
Mm-hmm.
games, they'll have their own achievement system. It just doesn't feel good because it's like it's
Yeah, the new Kirby remaster has one. Has some like achievement lists and stuff in it, basically, like or more or less close enough to it. The whatever the remake of, or the remaster of Return to Dreamland has that.
Yeah, and they've done it
As
in a
like,
few games
yeah,
now, where it's like, but no one, as far as as far as I'm concerned, no one would really want to put in the same amount of effort because it's like it doesn't feel as you don't feel like you're getting as much recognition for that. Like as far as a
yeah.
centralized system goes.
In my ideal world, they would not only have a trophy system, but they would, or something similar, but they would tie it into their Nintendo points system. Which, by the way, remember that Nintendo points still exists? Because I forget it all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
Because they've done an absolutely horrible job of actually promoting it. It's awful. It's actually awful. It's a really terrible system. Like,
yeah.
because the way they used to do it was like they used to advertise it all the time.
It was
It used to be
lovely.
like, oh,
Yeah.
you could get like cool things with the points. Now it's like you can still sort of do that a little bit. You can sometimes get physical items when they remember to have the shop, but most of the time you can't. Most of the time it's like, oh, look at these new avatars that you can buy with platinum points now. And it's like, I don't care. I don't care about my profile icon having this character on it that much. I'm sorry. And that's basically all you can do with the points now. I think there's like you can use points for like discounts and stuff on games, I think, on digital games. That's kind of neat when I remember that they exist, which I don't 90% of the time. But being able to tie that into like the way Destiny does it, the way Bungie does it with Destiny, where you can like earn real world rewards for achieving certain things in their games that you then pay money for. But the fact that you like do something in the game, do something that like, oh, only a certain amount of people are able to do this, then gives you the ability to be like, hey, because you did this in a certain amount of time, you can now go buy this thing that's like basically a way to, it's cool. It's a cool like my winter jacket is a thing I got for beating a raid in a certain period of time after it came out.
Right.
And it's a cool jacket. People, lots of people commented on it, and they that really liked it. It has my gamer tag on it, so it's personalized. There's there's so much potential for Nintendo to do something cool like that. They don't have the money of Bungie. I understand that. Bungie has like 1,000 employees. They're huge, massive company. I don't actually know if they have that many employees, but they've got a lot of employees, and Nintendo does not have that many employees. So I recognize that. So you can't maybe have anything quite that grand or extravagant, but you can have something kind of similar. You have plenty of merchandising around.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, oh, maybe if you did this thing, you get this one of a kind, or one of a kind. You get a special plush or something like that you can buy that you have access to purchase now because you did this. You beat the game. You beat like, I don't know, the new Mario game, and within the first month of it being out or something, or even just maybe the first couple weeks to really incentivize people to buy it and play it. I mean, why not do something like that?
Yeah.
I think that would be. I think they should do that. To me, it's a pipe dream. I realize, but I think that would be a really cool thing for them to do.
Yeah.
So for the next console,
the bare minimum, I want a trophy achievement system. You know, and it would be so cool. You would foster a whole community just in itself. You know, the people call themselves these trophy hunters, achievement hunters. You know, there would be whatever Nintendo's unique name would be. There'd be people all about that, completing every game 100%, and doing that.
Yeah, I mean it's a cool little subculture. I mean, there's some of it that's that kind of is maybe a little unhealthy, but, but I think to me it's a little fun. It's fun. I like what we see in our smaller sort of communities. I think tends to be more on the fun side, where we're challenging each other to do stuff like that. See it with like Rusty and Blink. As part of the they talk about on the Otaku Brothers, and if you ever watch Blinkoom stream, he actually every once in a while will do like a thorough roast, or he'll like go through and like he did this for Rusty actually once, where he went through Rusty's trophy list and kind of rated and judged his trophy list. So it was fun. But, yeah, I don't know.
It's a cool system, and just these bare minimum things, like I mentioned last week, they literally removed a good system they had for tracking playtime in the activity log.
Yeah.
Just give me that back. Just give us the bare minimum
May-
at least.
maybe they're like maybe they get bad feedback from that because people don't want to know how much exact time they spend on this game.
Right,
Maybe that
exactly. Yeah,
scares
we
people.
only want rough estimates and only see the
Yeah.
most recent games we played. Yes.
That part's really I don't understand that part though. You can only see the last like whatever amount of games. That part's stupid, but
Yeah, it goes out of
um
circulation, and then so it's like, yeah. Um,
Miiverse was such a magical thing too. I mean, they can't really implement that again, I don't think.
well, they're
But
cowards. They
like
wouldn't.
yeah, they wouldn't go back to it.
They wouldn't. But
Yeah.
I would say personally, I wish we stuck with like straight up virtual console style.
Rather than the
Yeah, the
streamed
Nintendo
games or whatever they are,
Online
the
membership stuff,
yeah.
and like especially with this grotesque playtime tracking they have on Nintendo Switch, where it'll just say that like your most recent game you played is Nintendo Switch Online, like NES or something.
Yeah, right.
Like I miss the days of just having all these like on the Wii, just seeing all these like retro games that you just own that are on your system, just like that.
Hmm.
I love that. But you probably won't go back to it because then it would get messy. People have to rebuy stuff again. I don't know how they'll do it, but
Yeah, well, I don't think the virtual consoles are coming back ever, almost ever again. I think Nintendo basically has stated that actually. Um,
I bet
when they were talking about closing the eShop down, they were like, "Yeah, we don't have any interest in really bringing that back ever again." So this is kind of what we're stuck with.
yeah,
Kind of sucks because there's some like really interesting obscure stuff on there, like the mysterious Murasame Castle or whatever. That was like the only localized version of that was on the Wii U eShop, and it's gone forever probably because why would they ever bring that back?
yeah.
It was an obscure
I
game, but it was like, or maybe it was on the 3DS eShop. It was an obscure game. Um, that was kind of neat that it got a port. I mean, I guess it's good that we have Earthbound showing up on these. Did Earthbound get? Isn't Earthbound better be on the Switch Online? I'll just say that
don't
it
know.
better be. It is. It is on the. If you picked up the Super Nintendo, the like little mini, the SNES Mini, then it's on that. So
I actually have that on my Wii U still at least, but
I do too. I have that and Earthbound Beginnings.
Which is
You gotta support it, man.
it's the beauty of it. There's
Yeah.
something nostalgic even just thinking about it. I get nostalgic thinking about like back in the Wii days when I was younger, just going in the store and like had the nice little music playing, and I'm just scrolling through like retro games and stuff, like trying to pick them out, which ones I wanna get. Like there's something nice, and like once you get it, you have it. Like I had Paper Mario on there. That's how I played Paper Mario and ended up beating it years ago. Was through
Mm.
Virtual Console. Like people like us, we'd like to own, even if digital is already a step down for us, but we still like to own and know that we have it. It's not just out there in the cloud.
Right. Well, if it's stuff that's like really rare or whatever, like I picked up a bunch of the Fire Emblem games on the Wii U before the shop closed because like those games are really expensive, and I mean at least I can have some Fire Emblem games on there.
Yeah, and you don't
I
have
mean
to
maybe
have
they'll show up with
a.
the 50 $60 a year membership or whatever.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. You got them
Um,
on the 3DS,
yeah.
and now it's like you don't have to have a membership to keep them like
Right.
keep having
They're on
access
my
to
Wii
'em.
U. I missed out on Shadow Dragon. I could not download that before the Wii U shut down. It shut down early, by the way. That shut down like 20 minutes early.
Sons of
Which I
bitches.
got kind of upset.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was upset because I was like, the Shadow Dragon, very expensive. That game is like $150 or something, and I'm like, okay, well, I do have the. They did like a 25th or a 30th anniversary for Fire Emblem, so I guess I have that game.
Is that
Anyway,
much,
I just
really?
don't have that version of them. Yeah,
Wow.
Shadow Dragon is like $100 or something, or 100, close to 100.
I
Oh, it's
lucked
over
out.
$100 at least on the DS.
I
So
lucked out with some of
yeah,
these. I happened to get them when I did.
yeah.
'Cause, yeah, I have that one too.
Oh well, I looked at there's some games where Pete's on eBay streams and stuff sometimes where he'll look at a game. I'm like, I'm glad I have that.
Yeah.
Like the Drakengard 3 Collector's Edition, which I paid like $100 for, is like a $350 game. I'm like, oh my god! I was like, I'm glad I have that. um, Yeah.
Okay, so to wrap it
But
up, unless you have more, do you want to go into? I'd just
I
like
think that's
to.
pretty much it for me.
I would like to say, for me personally, I would be fine if it was literally called the Switch 2. Like, because
Super Switch.
I don't trust Nintendo to
Yeah,
name
to
things.
name
Like, just add the number. Like the PlayStation, they
like
know how to do it. Just
don't follow Xbox. They don't know what they're doing over there.
especially if they can see themselves for the foreseeable future, this just being like the way they do their systems, like the
Yeah.
console and handheld hybrid, then you might as well just make it a whole series of consoles, like, and stick with it, like Switch 2, Switch 3, like the PlayStations.
The Super
But
Switch would be fun, like a little nod back to the NES, but
right,
I agree that they should probably do they should just do a numbered or something similar. Don't call it the
I don't
new
know.
Switch. Don't
The
call it
new Switch.
the Switch U.
Well,
Don't call it
if
that.
it is the new Switch or Switch U kind of name, then I will assume, as everyone else should, that it's just like a slightly improved Switch. It's not really a successor, which is
The
something that
Switch
people have always
S.
considered.
Right?
But if
Yeah,
you're
the
gonna
Switch.
make it a true successor, you have to add the number. Unless I don't know what they're cooking. If they're like, "Ooh, we're ready to shake up the game and have a whole new gimmick," I don't know.
Yeah,
But I have a feeling Switch was so successful for them that they'll keep it going in this direction.
they need to. I think they need to for them for them to keep going because like the Switch still sells pretty well. I mean, if you introduce a new improved model, people will buy it. I will. I'll buy it. I haven't bit the bullet on the new LED screen or whatever, the
Yeah.
Switch, whatever that
Oh well,
the
OLED. Yeah.
OLED, the Switch OLED. I don't care that much about it.
Yeah.
I'm fine with my launch day Switch right here. I'm fine with it. Though the Joy Cons are improved Joy-Con thumbsticks, please. Thank you. We do
Improve
need
like the
that.
Joy-Con
that
drift.
yeah, the
Like,
Joy-Con drift. Yeah, it needs to stop.
so many times, like, I'll be playing a game and will just mess up on me for no reason. Like, I'm doing nothing wrong, and it'll just like
Yeah,
go wonky. Like, you need to prove the functionality on that,
yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah. But
But
the Pro controllers were. I know people say that the Pro controllers also have drift, but most controllers to a degree have some sort of drift. Like one of my PS4 controllers has some drift.
grift.
It has some, it's a grift. It's a grift. I tell you, it's a big grift. My PS4 controllers has some drift, so I mean, it's kind of a thing when you use your console a lot. I'm sorry to say, but
I do not. I do not.
I do not.
I denounce those allegations.
I did not. Yeah.
But
Well.
it's one of those things that I am still a sucker because Nintendo is the only company where I will buy their systems like immediately. Like, I don't PS5. If my PS4 didn't stop working, I probably would have waited even longer than I did to get that one. So Nintendo, I never would do that with. Probably it's like I'm gonna buy it within the first year, more times than not.
Mm.
So, they got me wrapped around their fingers, so they're going to keep abusing me. That's fine. They're going to give me awful online. They're going to give me no achievements. And I'm just going to sit there. I'm going to bend over and take it. It's just how it is.
It's just, unfortunately, yes. I would like, but I hope
I would like them to
some of
respect
these
me,
things,
though.
at least a couple of the things would be improved a little bit, right? You would hope.
It's sad
I
how we
hope
have to
some of
qualify
those
these
things-
things. Like, I hope they at least give us one bone.
Throw us at least one bone, please. We're begging you.
So sad.
It is
it's
kinda
so sad to
actually.
be such a fan of a company that like you can't depend on like to do
I mean,
right by
I can't even imagine how Pokemon fans deal with their lives. Like, I'm saying as a Pokemon fan, but like, how? To me, the thing about Pokemon fans though is that the thing that I always look at is like, when are you guys gonna realize that, like, finally actually realize that Game Freak doesn't know how to program anything, and they haven't known how to program anything since like the Game Boy Advance.
But it's like,
and even those games weren't great. So
it's like, as much as I did enjoy Pokemon Sword, I haven't played Scarlet and Violet yet. But it's absolutely unacceptable. Like give us the hardware, so they don't even have to like just let it be a good Pokemon game that runs
I'm
well.
gonna be I'm gonna be honest with you, Zach. I don't actually think the hardware is the problem. I think Game Freak is the problem.
Okay, but if it's on the PS5, it's not gonna be like that.
I don't think it's. Didn't Little Town Hero get released for more than the Switch? I'm pretty sure it got released on the PS4 too, and that game did not run well because Game Freak is a third party company. They can release games on other consoles, and that game was ass. That game was not good, and it had very little to do with it. It just has to do with the programming capabilities of that team. It's just they're out of their league.
Okay, but in general,
they also have the market cornered. So
yeah, exactly.
what can you do?
But in general, yeah, I would like to not Nintendo not to be the thing where it's just like if you pick Nintendo's version, you're gonna suffer like performance wise. So is it worth it for you for the handheld? I'd like you to just be like, performance is good. So you can either maybe they won't give us the achievements, so then it'll be like, oh, do you want achievements or not? Then that's your dilemma.
Or do you want to optimize?
They definitely won't give us both.
Optimization achievements.
Yeah.
Well, I have heard this. Sonic Frontiers, I've heard the Switch version is actually pretty good for a game that was a PS4 game or a PS5 game, actually.
I didn't buy that version.
Of course you didn't. Why would you?
Exactly. Who cares?
No, but I have heard it runs actually very well for the console. I think basically they like did some like texture limitations and stuff, and like probably nerfed the draw distances a little bit and like clean some stuff up.
They've just ruined their reputation in terms of multi-platform games so much that it doesn't even matter if it runs well or not. It's just like you're gonna default to not if you can. If you don't.
Well, we are, but there are people that do. Like there are people that went and bought the ones. There are people that went and bought The Witcher 3 on Switch.
Remember how embarrassing the Wii U was, like in terms of multi-platform games?
Oh, it was. I mean, that was when EA was like, "We're never going to release games on your system anymore," or whatever.
Like, I actually have a couple of Call of Duty games on the Wii U. So
I'm sorry.
It's very weird.
I'm sorry. That's too bad.
And just
was it Cold War 2 or whatever?
I have. No, not that.
Not Cold War 2. Black Ops 2. Black Ops 2, rather.
Black Ops 2 and Call of Duty Ghosts. I mean, they were good, but
Oh yeah, it was released on the. Oh, that's so embarrassing.
I also have Watch Dogs on the Wii U. These random.
I like the little laugh that you gave there. I have Watch Dogs on you. It's like laughing in spite of yourself, basically.
It's just laughable.
It is laughable. It's pretty laughable.
And like,
wow,
like there was such an embarrassment. It's just so sad. Like, you couldn't like with pride go and buy a Wii U version of a game that existed on another console.
with pride, I buy this.
They would be like. Oh, the Wii U version? Are you sure? They could like pull out like a box from underneath, like Like,
they dust it off.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, jeez.
So, Nintendo, if you're listening, maybe give us some little ounce of respect and stop cucking us.
Implement some of this stuff. Here's a opportunity for you also. Let us know in the comments below. What would you like to see in a new Nintendo handheld? Or not a handheld, just this console. I mean, maybe you wanted maybe you want another Switch Lite. I don't know. Well, what do you want in your new Nintendo console? Let us know below.
Yeah,
I'd like to hear from you.
The new Nintendo console can only be played handheld. Not a console anymore.
It's only a Switch. It's only a Switch Lite. That's it.
It's fully optimized for the handheld version.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you go watch our 3DS and Wii U retrospective we did last week.
Yeah.
All right.
Some good times, reminiscing.
Good times. So. As much as Nintendo fans, we love Nintendo, we also are suffering. We always suffer, and that's just a part of the charm.
We always suffer, eternal suffering. Yeah.
All your sins will be forgiven when you give me like a Paper Mario back in its true form, something like that. That's like that's another thing that I would just eat up, like Paper Mario, even if it doesn't really need it. So Paper Mario and Paper Mario Thousand Year Door like re-release, I would eat it up.
You did in like the style of Origami King, it would look really nice.
And
It'd be
just
beautiful.
I would just take it as an excuse to play them again. But that's another thing. If they did re-releases and also had an achievement system, that would be nice too.
Yeah, that's what. Well, that's why it was cool when they started doing that on the PS4 when they started to do like when they were bringing out like PS1 classics and PS2 stuff to the
Yeah,
console, where they were giving achievements to them, and I was like, that's such a or trophies, and that was such a cool idea. I'm glad that
because that would
they did that. It was
definitely
neat.
be an excuse for people to play games that like they already own previously.
Yeah,
Like I would go play those Paper Mario games just to have a new experience with it. All right.
right.
Well, thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment, and if you do leave a comment, we'll definitely be reading it on the next episode of the Tarqaron podcast. So stay tuned for that. All right.
Yeah.
Hit the notification
Yes.
bell and click the link in the description for our
Yes.
social media. All right. Yeah.